And so I took a bunch of nails and sat them into a board so they were sticking up. Hi, I'm Sahreth. I'm diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder and PTSD. Paranoia is a really common symptom of schizophrenia. It's not necessarily something that all schizophrenics experience, but it is something I experience to a degree. It's usually something, the thoughts are usually pretty subtle for me, and it's something I can typically be like, that's irrational, that doesn't make sense, and kind of talk myself through it. Or at least I can now. There was a long period where I couldn't do that. It also helps to have my wife help talk me through it, which, once again, at a point in time, she would not have been able to help either. And normally it's, just the thoughts, but sometimes it has been really, really severe. And that's what I want to talk about. Was one of those times. Is back several years ago during a period where I was not coping with my schizophrenia well. I wasn't receiving any treatment that was actually helping. And I was at home alone, which during that point was not really something that happened because my wife worked, but we always had close friends as roommates, and they kind of doubled as a sort of caretaker for me, not in the fact that I need someone to take care of me, but just to keep an eye and make sure I don't start hallucinating or doing anything dangerous or things like that. But for some reason, I can't remember why, the roommate wasn't there at this time. I think he had gone out with a friend or gone out on a date or something like that, and my wife was at work. And something about being alone really exacerbates my symptoms, especially the paranoia. I guess having someone I can trust around makes me feel safer, so I don't really get the horrible feelings of someone's out to get you. But so I was alone, and I started feeling very paranoid. Nothing really triggered it. I just thought that someone was out to get me. That since I was alone, there's no one there to protect me, and that these people, whoever they were, knew that. They knew that my roommate was gone, my wife was gone, and they were going to come and try to kidnap me. So what I ended up doing was, for context, it was a fairly large 3-bedroom house that we were staying in at the time. What I ended up doing was flipping furniture over and pushing it up against the windows and the doors. I ran out of furniture. I couldn't figure out how to barricade the window in the kitchen, and so I took a bunch of nails and sat them into a board so they were sticking up, and put that in front of the window, along with just scattering some and some thumbtacks around, so if someone did try to break in, they would step on nails. And then I ended up going and sitting in the middle of the house. It was pretty open floor plan, so it was easy to kind of get a central point where I could see or hear everything. I just kind of sat there listening, made sure there was no music on, no nothing. I just sat there listening, waiting for someone to try to get in. I started to panic because I knew no one was coming in, but also the paranoia was not going away. I did not feel safe. I eventually did hear knocking, beating on the front door, and I was probably 15 feet away from the front door. mind, I was like, oh, okay, there they are, they're coming, and I just gotta, I had a staff or a walking stick or something that I was holding on to, so I was just like, kind of like waiting for I don't know what I was expecting for them to just blow the couch off of the door or something, but I just sat there waiting, and after a minute, they stopped. I was like, oh, okay, and I was trying to tell myself, okay, maybe I'm overthinking things, maybe, and then the knocking started again, and I heard a voice, but it was muffled, and I didn't know whose voice it was, and then the knocking stopped again. The next thing I know, I'm getting a call from my wife. I pick it up, and she was asking me if I was okay, what was going on, and I told her, you know, I was like, someone's trying to get me, and she was like, who? And I'm just like, I don't know. And she was like, I'm not trying not to say his name. She was like, roommate is at the door, he's trying to get inside. And I was like, no, he's not the one I'm worried about. There's someone else. There's someone else that's, you know, knows I was alone. They're coming. She was like, honey, roommate is at the door. He's been pounding on the door. He says you're not answering. The door is locked. He's the one trying to get in. You need to go open the door for him. And it took her about probably like 10 minutes to convince me to go open the door, and it took me a minute because I had to move the couch and everything. By that time I was freaking tired, but I did, and I like gently like opened it, and sure enough he was just standing there, and he was like, what the hell? And then he came in, and I kind of showed him, you know, what I had done with everything. And he kind of helped me like put stuff back where it was supposed to be and clean up the tacks and stuff. And having them there almost immediately calmed me down, which is fortunate because a lot of people who will have paranoia episodes or whatever, nothing is going to relax them or calm them down. I was still worried the rest of the evening until my wife came home that something was going to happen, but it did start to fade after the roommate was there, and he was, you know, because I felt safe having another person around that I knew that I could trust. At least while I was sane, I taught myself to teach my I guess my insane half of my brain that these certain people can be trusted, you know, and that was part of my coping for schizophrenia, is teaching my brain which people I can trust and rational reasons as to why I can trust them, which really helped when I did have like a paranoid fit or a delusion or something like that. Well, I have plenty more stories and information and things to share, so if you're interested, if you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, subscribe, all that. If you have a story you'd like to share, feel free to do that as well. If you do schizophrenia or mental health videos, feel free to talk about it in the comments, and hopefully I will see y'all in another video. Bye.